Makes it possible. I just thought, they're not making any more like I said.
I'm gonna set that recording on.
All right, guys, let's before we get the meeting started, we do have some guests. We're gonna get a presentation today, and we'll allow them to introduce themselves to everybody rather than go through individually. So we'll get the meeting on hand. It's gonna be somewhat truncated. Obviously, Lisa's gone today, so we'll get our important stuff done. Now, not the church, we'll get our necessary things out of the way, and then we'll hand it off for you. And as I pointed out, most of these guys are volunteers. And they'll stick around and ask a lot of questions as long as they'll stick around. So, all right, so we'll call the group. You've got your minutes and everything. Anybody have any questions over last month's meeting? Okay.
I will present a motion to approve the October minutes as presented.
Second. Motion second. Anybody, if everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Outside of that, an action item, if you haven't heard, Vernon has resigned. I have yet to hear from Baser. To my knowledge, unless Lisa's here, that she will let me know about his replacement. So I'm sorry to lose Vernon, but Baser, I'm sure will appoint somebody briefly soon. We'll put that out there. It's not like we have a say in the matter. Put that out there. Treasurer's reports, we're gonna take that up. Oh, you see that?
We're here today.
Good to say.
Yeah, thank you, Mary, for taking care of last month's foreman. This month's pretty simple. We don't have any income, no money coming in. We have $125 going to the accountant, $38.95 going to Evergy, 38 QuickBooks, and $5 for our statement fee. That's the 206.93 is what it adds up to. We did have interest on the checking, $30.25. We didn't have any of our CDs matured out for interest. That is the total income by that.
When did we write the check for that lot? Yeah, was that last month?
That was this month.
That was this month, so that had.
That'll be next
Next month, yeah.
next report.
I think that's done, but forgive me, I don't have the
Yeah,
final.
well, you're gonna see the lawyers on there and some of the other big expenses,
Okay.
but that's gonna be on next month's pay.
Okay, 'cause I signed off on it, so at some point it's show up, okay.
I signed the checks today for it.
And you guys just renewed your 1-year CD with Mutual. Well, the 6-month CD is coming up for maturity on 5th of December. So you guys want me to sit down and ask for rates again for that one? And let me know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or for us, once they keep it right underneath that 200,000.
Okay.
So we need a motion to approve your treasurer's report.
I would make that motion.
Second.
And motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, and welcome, Mr. Knoll to our table, sites, and I guess you're gonna take over maybe to the head of them, K5, if you have anything before.
No, we'll let these guys present first and I'll give some KDOT updates afterwards.
That'll work. Okay. The industrial site committee did not meet this month. We'll skip over that. As far as the golden shovel, Lisa and I were both involved in that. There's nothing new at this particular point. We'll meet with them next month. And this is with regard to the messages not countywide. Question?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Sorry.
The messages are going out to our voters and everything like that. So they presented us things that we had to, shall we say, address, size, whatever the case may be. After that, then we'll turn it over. Please introduce yourselves to the other members and you have a date.
All right, well, thank you very much. My name is Jeff McCarroll with Kimley Horn. We were retained by KDOT to help lead this project. And we'll give introductions and then maybe a little bit of background. This project actually came off of a county and port project from a few years ago. The Priorities for Progress really identified this, and then Eagle advocated as a county very well with KDOT 2 years ago, the local council, to select this for what's called a discovery phase of a project, which to put, maybe to take a moment to explain that a little bit. It's KDOT's, what we're working through here is to set a vision for this corridor. So it's not necessarily funded yet for construction. or even for final design, but it's to really go through the process to figure out what we want to do on the school. So we'll be talking about that. With me?
Jane Siemens, Venice Communications. Know some of you from our Priorities for Progress. Again, I'm working on the public engagement part of this, sub to Jeff.
I'm Stephen Cross with KDOT. I'm overseeing basically the project. I'm kind of the KDOT project PM.
Yeah, I'm Jacob Dieter, with the KDOT PMC, so with a consulting firm, Burns and McDonnell, but we're hired by KDOT kind of as staff augmentation to fill in, so essentially the KDOT project manager report to Stephen, but try to handle most of the day-to-day.
I'm Blake Morris, also with the PMC, also with Burns McDonnell. I work with Jacob to help manage things on a day-to-day basis.
Your presentation. Hey. So but we are. Yeah. Gonna go through a few things with you today, talk about kind of the traffic that's out there, talk about how K5 is functioning today and how nothing changes, it's gonna be fun. 25 years. So we see some growth out there. We'll go into a bit of the existing conditions, and really the geometrics that are out there. And talk about some of those issues, talk about some crash history we've seen on the school. I know with Lansing, that's a big issue, was brought up at some meetings moving forward. Then we'll talk about kind of that, what we see is what we call a purpose and need for this project. Really kind of help define, as we move forward, what are the issues we're trying to solve? And we want to hear kind of your thoughts on some of those issues when we talk about that. And then we'll talk about some of the next steps, because we got a lot that's going to happen over about the next 6 months, with a lot of engagement and outreach to the communities and to the different elected officials, as we look to identify what's that vision for the school as we move forward. So we'll start a bit with full screen. All right. We will start with traffic operations. One of the ways, and some of you may have heard this before, we talk about service of the road is there. It's a simplified way to look at it. It's a range from level of service A to F. And just like at school, A is good, F is bad. A represents basically you're really not impeded by other vehicles on the roadway. F means you recurring congestion. If you think about a traffic signal, for instance, level service F is when you have to wait through multiple cycles of the traffic signal. So when we look at that corridor today, it actually operates fairly well below capacity. We don't have that much traffic on this roadway typically. In the morning, you'll see on the left here, this chart is what southbound directions are going. And we pick up a little traffic, actually at McIntyre, and we're about a level service B in that area. But really, for the most part, we're at level service A's. As a reference, the guide for rural areas typically is KDOT looks to see level service C or better. When we get into I-35, there right in Johnson County, we're okay with some higher congestion levels, but that's kind of what we look at as the framework before we go through here. Same thing in the PM peak hour, kind of similar areas. Maybe a little bit more congestion as we come into town on the north side, but it's still operating well below capacity. What happens though, as we move forward and we take a look at projections, traffic's actually been pretty stable on K5 over the years, but we do think it'll increase somewhere on average about 15% for the next 25 years. So it's a growth, it's not a rapid growth. And that's as if it were to remain basically what it is today. But that's the type of growth we can see, moving forward. And what that means is, this actually shows how some of the key intersections would operate. And we're still operating fairly well today in the mainline segments. Also operating at level service B or A to their core. So it kind of tells you what we're looking at from a traffic operations standpoint.
You want questions we go through or after?
We can pause, yeah, sure.
When you're looking at that, are you taking into consideration how much traffic you're shutting onto Highway 7?
So yeah, this was with the regional model to kind of take a look and understand all the different traffic patterns out there. And the planned improvements along K7, planned improvements for the new Centennial Bridge, all those were taken into account as we're looking at that. We looked at the comprehensive plans of Lansing and Leavenworth County to understand growth potentials, what's out there. But as the road is today, it's not necessarily. K7 is still a more attractive route for a lot of people, as will be Centennial Bridge, particularly when I think of some of the improvements go along K7 over time in the future.
Well, in 2000, when Lansing got the, as the mayor back then, city manager, when he got the 5th lane with turn lane, all the K5 traffic, I believe, it went to Main Street because, or our Main Street, but K7, because you could get through a lot easier. As a police chief, we were in a lot of accidents, for all those years I was out there. So when you say that it's going, it's back to so like something like that, that's because a lot of that traffic, my opinion, went out to Main Street. That's coming through. Well, if you look at Main Street now, it's starting to fill up.
Mhm.
Because we got so much more traffic. We got growth everywhere going from Baser all the way through. So it's kind of misleading a little bit to say it's saying the same, because if you look at nothing's changed, I say that, but with Main Street, we got that $18 million, whatever project was from turn lane, 5th lane, that made a big difference in taking it off to Soto Road, 47th, and also taking off K5.
Yeah, adding that center turn lane on a 4-lane road, almost, it's just one lane, but it almost increases your capacity by about 50%.
We noticed that.
So,
I was police chief, we used to work a lot of rear end accidents, and it was terrible. We finally got that grant, put it through, and they said as well, I think it's about 2008, 2009, but the increase now, I don't know what the numbers are in county, some of the county now. With Lansing, I can see it, 'cause I live in Lansing, I can see the traffic in certain times, so. I think K5 project's a good project, I just wanted to share that with you.
yeah, I think it's, when we get to it, as you, if you're, this is as K5 is today.
Yeah.
As you start to make it a better facility, a better roadway, it'll attract more.
Sure it will.
When I look at that, I see the two different colors up there between yellow and green. I think that's probably reflecting what he's talking about. Where McIntyre now is being used on K7 to get there. Of course, that corner locally we call Dead Man's Corner, because it had a lot of accidents for
Years ago, yeah.
Even though they since changed it to a 4-way stop, there's still a lot of people in this county that don't treat it that way,
Yeah,
so.
we'll hit on crash history here in a minute.
Okay.
That's really one of the driving elements, I think, of this project.
Would the state consider changing McIntyre to 2.5 or vice versa in that particular sense? I may be way out of my depth here, but
No, those discussions have been happening. It's not ours right now, not KDOT's, so there would have to be some horse trading or something going on later. Those discussions have happened,
the road up to that point is not bad, but from there into Leavenworth,
yeah.
yeah.
You also have to consider when McIntyre was expanded, it was expanded by the county, not the city, and it meets their standards, not the city standards, not the Kansas standards.
Right.
So if you make that K5, you're gonna be rebuilding it.
Yeah, no, I know, but it's something I think we have to consider,
Yeah.
and I'm sure they are down the road too, you know.
So it was built on county standards and it is a county road right now.
Right.
And
Most of it.
remind me, is it a 4-lane?
Except
There's
the,
a 2.
2-lane?
the last like 350 yards, that's Lansing.
Bill, what is that? About a quarter mile, is that Lansing or?
Yeah, I think it's 1,000 feet.
Okay.
Close to the yards.
Close.
Okay, cause I know you guys plan ahead, I remember when 2440 first came out, and you guys did all the road work years before you could afford everything put together. So I know you guys think ahead that way, look at the traffic.
We try, but most of the time we're behind on budget.
True. Yeah, I don't know what happened. You got into the brilliant time. I remember watching. that.
Welcome to the county's world.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Nope, that's all right. So let's talk about some constraints out there, because that's also real, and we gotta work a little bit with the reality of what we're dealing with. We've got some constrained right of way that's out there today. There are places in which the right of way for K5 is 40 feet or less.
Yeah.
So it's narrow in a few spots. We go through, we're adjacent to cemetery, federal cemetery, we're adjacent to kind of cut through the state prisons. We've got a railroad on the southern part that's right next to us. And we got a lot of floodplain, so there's some constraints that makes this not an easy solution, you know, for the reputation of Kansas as being a flat rolling hill type place. That's not this K5. So we recognize we've got some things to work around as well.
Got a nasty little bridge down there at the bottom.
Yeah, go ahead.
Quick question, when you say constrained right away, is that only constrained, meaning that you'd have to purchase right away, or there's some
Yeah.
other constraints that I'm not thinking of?
So you'd have to purchase right away, and some of that purchasing right away isn't going to be easy. For instance, to purchase right away from federal cemetery is not gonna be something where you just
Right.
easily go out.
And what is the preferred right away for road improvement like this?
Depends on the improvement, whether you do like a nice 2-lane highway with wide shoulders, or if you go a 4-lane section, so it varies. We don't have necessarily a standard corridor,
Maybe there's a range from, what, 80 to
300. Yeah, some places in Wichita, we have 300 where we have frontage roads and then 6 lanes of highway and medians and turn lanes and all that stuff, so.
Jeremy, to answer your question, it'd probably be variable with the
Yeah.
terrain. As you wanna flatten that, to get your speed limit designs, you would have to flatten that terrain, and as you go over a hill, as your grading footprint widens to hit your ditches. Okay, it would be a variable width right away. I would assume they would just take a standard section. So in a valley or a hill, it could be expanding, go in and out quite a bit based upon your speed limit design. It's gonna dictate your, whatever speed limit is set, that's gonna really dictate your width. The higher the speed limit, the wider the right of way is going to be.
Makes sense, thank you.
One of the things we took a look at and really digged into is the curbs that are out on this roadway. Enjoy driving this roadway, you know that we've got a lot of curves. We're showing on the left is what we call super elevation. That's the banking of the road, if you will, going around a curve. And we have places in which the elevation of a road is banking is 6 to 7%. There are places in which we actually have the road is banked the wrong direction. It's actually forcing you off the road a little bit through that area. We've also got some tight curves in there. In fact, there are places, while we're predominantly a 50-mile-an-hour roadway here, 45 in some spots, 40 in some others. We've got curves that are anywhere from 15 to 25 mile an hour is really the safe speed of traffic laps. So it's, you talk about that Dan's corner there, I think the nickname, we won't use that in the public too much, but
That just keeps them open. Everybody knows exactly what you're talking about.
yeah, and it's, but we got those locations and you can see, we'll show here in a moment, the correlation of these curvatures to where we see a lot of serious accidents. And really that threshold, what we saw was when you were not meeting a 35-mile-an-hour curve, those crash rates went way up. The other thing, and I think a lot of you will know, probably know this as well, this is a very popular motorcycle riding route.
Oh, yeah.
On the weekends.
Yes.
A disproportional amount of motorcycle riders are involved in running off the road, crashes along this route, so it's, I mean, it's situations.
I was gonna say, my little English sports cars get flopped over.
Yeah.
For the long reason.
Which brings us really to this, and what we have on the left is kind of a, what I call a heat map. The darker the color you see, the more crashes we have at those locations. Here's the corner you're talking about, but it's not the worst location that we have out there, actually. Further up, at several locations, Eisenhower intersection is a troubled intersection. And then right here, as we cross the county line, we've got some issues going through there. when do we take a look at this? This is the thing maybe to keep in mind about what are the crash rates? So how many fatal and serious accidents, based on the volume of traffic out there, how many are having and how does that compare to other facilities? Or total crashes, how many are we having? How does that compare to other facilities? This corridor has a crash rate for fatal and serious injury accidents of just over 25 per basically million vehicle miles traveled, which is how we kind of look at that. We compare that to a typical KDOT 2-lane highway. That crash rate is about 2.3. So we're 10 times higher than that. If we're to characterize it compared to a collector highway, that's 7.5, it's still more than 3 times higher than that. So the crash rates for all crashes, as well as serious and fatal injuries, debilitating crashes, somewhere around 3 to 10 times what you would expect of a typical facility for there.
And that, I'd say it's a good thing, but that means KDOT is concerned about that. Right?
Of course,
That would bump it up a register somewhere.
oh, didn't talk to that, but yeah.
Yeah,
safety is-
typically, these kind of projects get our attention, right? When you have crash histories that are well above the state average, we tend to focus on those. Yeah,
Sorry,
I mean, that's the best we can prioritize them, yeah. And that's honestly, that's probably why this got selected in local councils a couple of years ago, just because of the crash history. But you can see the segment and intersections, they function pretty well. It's just the crash history is really high. And I think everybody that's driven the thing knows why.
Yeah, I don't wanna say it's a good thing, but in this case, it's not a bad thing as
Yeah.
far as getting this moved up.
Prior,
Prioritize,
yeah. When you compare it, I mean, we don't have, most of the corridor doesn't have shoulders at all. We've actually got deep ditches right up against the edge of pavement in a lot of locations. So you can't, if your wheels slip off, you can't recover your vehicle at all.
Yeah.
In some places, the ditch is eroding the drive.
Some places, KDOT's done a really good job of maintaining what's there today. Pavement's in pretty good shape. The culverts and the bridges are in pretty good shape. So what we have is maintained well. It's just, there's not a lot of room for forgiveness.
KDOT put a bridge in Lansing about 10 years ago above the prison. It used to be flooded. They said it looked like a set up higher than when we angled on it, but we used to be able to have to close that road and all, that was a floodplain, close it down with that, at least that bridge. Kept it, because that was the main problem we had, that bridge wasn't sitting high enough. Years ago, we all came in and put a bridge there, did make a difference.
So that history, what we looked at, condition of the road, volume of traffic, what we heard kind of out of the local consult about connecting Leavenworth and Lansing to the rest of the metro area, helped us form what we call that purpose and needs statement. So this is kind of important as you go down the step when we talk about environmental permitting for major road projects. Having a purpose need kind of helps define how we evaluate this corridor. What's the mission we're trying to accomplish as we upgrade this facility, and is this design going to be? And it came down to really 3 categories. One is safety. We want to take a look at enhancing the roadway safety that reduces those numbers of severe crashes, particularly at substandard curves and intersections. Connectivity. To your point about K7 taking a load, we do want to make sure we're improving connectivity to key regional destinations. And how we measure that is really about how many people are within a 30-minute drive of the community, how many jobs are within that facility, or building something that makes it where Lansing and Leavenworth is close to the rest of the metro area of 435 and giving some better options there. And then we talk about modernization. Modernization is, talking about shoulders, bringing it up to better standards that will address kind of the safety issue as well. So those are the real purposes when we talk about this, and I do want to say this is a project that's looking to modernize K5, not necessarily build it as a multi-lane expressway type facility. So it is really looking at, still might be a 2-lane, just a much safer, straighter 2-lane. So I want to pause there and see is that maybe this is a good discussion point for the board, what are your thoughts or were there on these as kind of three guiding principles that are out?
Well, sorry, Sharon, but it also opens up opportunities for Lansing, Leavenworth County as a whole to grow. It opens up that market between 7 and 435, because now instead of our people going down and doing a horseshoe all the way down to 70, then coming back up 435, this is a much safer road. Because there's many times I'd rather go get on 70 and do the extra miles than travel that goat path. You know, my daughter's been ran off the road twice. I've been ran off the road once, and thank God it was in a place where my tires didn't go down an embankment. Those types of things don't get reported to you because people get out of the ditch themselves. But, and when KCKCC spoke during the progress, they got a lot of teachers that live up in that area that would open up opportunities for them to teach our people here. They've just bought 14 acres. They're gonna build a campus up here, and they've got to get faculty up here. And they're looking at 500 kids, and it's gonna be a combination of college and technical, both. So they're drawing a lot of people into this area, and they need this road modernization. So it doesn't need to be a cow path, you know, graduation from a goat path to a cow path. We need a little bit more, because you're going to be opening up all that property up for businesses. Because, you know, we're having a hard time finding the acreage that is the Port Authority needs to make it profitable.
When you look at if you did the way you're speaking, the way it looks like you're speaking, how far out do you look? Cause that makes a good point. There's gonna be changes when you say you're gonna make it just to a 2-lane, make it straighter. How long do you look out? I mean, model say that will serve what your statistics say.
Our horizon's 2050, so 25 years.
Okay.
A typical project's 20 though. So we're looking 25 because it's gonna take us a while to get through the discovery phase report, things like that. So once we get projects to construct in the corridor, then it's a 20-year design line, and that's where we will start.
What does leaving economic development off of the purpose and need statement? How does that change and be looked at? That people that think. That's a fair question.
Say, are you talking about developers helping to pay for?
Well,
Sure.
We're just in the purpose and need statement, a general statement that's going. Is a leading document that brings all these pieces together. You leave off economic development. How does that change the next 10 or 15 years?
It's great point, and that's why this is still called a draft, right? So we want to have a conversation with it.
Understand.
A little bit of that is actually tied into that connectivity. About improving connectivity from this area to the rest of the region. And we can talk about it, that's going to enhance economic development as well, so, but we could explore that a bit.
Well, let me address this question a little bit more. So when we look at our traffic studies and things like that, we meet with the cities and counties and see what's on the books for development. And then we build that into a model. If it's just gonna stay residential and stuff, that's the way we model it. And so if we don't know that there's a potential development XYZ along the corridor, then that's not modeled. But if we know of campus, a 14-acre campus that's going on, we can include that, and that will be part of the traffic analysis and
We've already got almost 400 acres north and south of the McIntyre Road, right on 7. That we already have interest in coming in for industrial, light industrial.
Sure. And if that's already zoned and we know about it, we met with the 5-county when we were redoing the 5-county model for K10. And so we met with all sorts of cities and counties and tried to get all their development plans for the region. So unless you have something new and current within probably the last 2 years, then that should be included in with what Jeff is using their traffic modeling.
Can I ask this of some of the, I hate to say long-term numbers, this is probably gonna be a biggest construction project on a highway since Port Atchison, right? You guys help me, because I have
Well, I
buildings
guess
that
that's, we did the question of how constrained are you by the $36 million announcement, because I'm not sure we could add shoulders and correct the clear zone issues for $36 million.
So, yeah, so that's always a big issue, right? The dollar amount. And so the way I've tasked Jeff and his design team to do is we want to come up with some sort of implementation plan. So it won't be the whole, was this 14 miles, 16 miles?
Over 8, about 10.
Oh, okay. We can't modernize the whole thing. So what we're gonna be looking at is what can we do to improve the crash history? We really don't want that crash history. So that's gonna be our focus, first of all. So there'll probably be some spot locations where we're gonna say, these are the highest priority locations that we need to tackle first. And then, you know, if we have extra on that 13 or the 36 million, then, you know, maybe we buy right away and then, you know, come in with a construction project following a right of way project, or, you know, how can we best, you know, over time start to knock these things out? So, yeah, if we had $100 million, we'd probably do the whole course and blast it out one thing. The other side of that is, the other side of that is we're always looking for local participation. You know, we talked earlier about crash history, you know, brings it to the top. Local contribution also helps bring that to the top. So there's, and right now the secretary's mentality is, you know, if you guys do improvements to help, maybe you improve McIntyre or something and helps, you know, get traffic off of K5, or, you know, makes it a functioning or a better system as a whole, he'll credit, you know, cities and counties for those improvements. So if there's things that, you know, you're already doing within your community, you can approach the secretary and say, hey, you know, we got this, you know, $5 million project that we think is gonna help the highway system. Can we get credit? You know, can that be our local contribution to improvements on K5 or K7 if you want? It's entirely up to you guys. So I'll throw that out there, but the secretary's always looking for, you know, those kind of things that, you know, you got, say you wanna improve an intersection, it's higher on your priority, or you wanna add an interchange. You know, throw some money at it and it'll get the secretary's attention more than anything, probably.
What speeds and or drive times should we expect at the end of this project?
Depends on the improvements, and I think Jeff's gonna get into that,
Okay.
those slides here in a little bit, cause we did do drive time analysis and things like that on different design speeds. Honestly, we don't think this corridor is gonna be a 65-mile-an-hour corridor. It's probably gonna be 45 to 55, some of those.
I think that's kind of the
Yes,
range we're looking at.
we're trying to improve some of the 15-mile-an-hour curves and supers that we have out there now, to get it up to some sort of reasonable.
you're gonna take the fun away from it.
Yeah, we're gonna take the fun away from some of the motorcyclists and the English car drivers.
Well, I will say from the priorities for progress they did with KDOT, that number one comment I would say that we received over that when we were working with Warren was the connectivity and economic aspects of some of these projects. So while I know we're having 10 times the state rate for crashes, what we really lack is that connectivity to 435 for future growth, because we look at our communities, we look at them as isolated from the metro when we're sitting, it's 7 miles, 6 miles from Lansing to 435. And we look at Liberty and we look at all these other neighboring communities, and if we could just get tied in K7 with all the stoplights prevents it, K5 with all these curves and slower speed limits prevents it, but that connectivity into an interstate system is really the driving factor that's limited the growth of this entire area from a commercial and industrial standpoint. You'll still we're getting urban sprawl from Johnson County, and maybe some even Douglas County now, if you look at the development patterns, but really you're looking at You know, who's gonna wanna go through 7 stoplights or down, you can't even take the curves on K5 without lane crossover in a semi. So it's not safe. And so really that connectivity feature and the economic. I mean, I think that there's a secondary economic feature with that connectivity that's now modeled in the 15% growth that. If this, you know, is a $36 million project, we can improve safety, but. What I think the people in this room are looking for is that economic impact, because if we could get tied into any interstate system, whether that's I-70, interchanges on K7 or much improved K5 corridor, then it becomes a much more viable option for investors to come into the area because they can jump on those interstates and travel throughout the metro and the entire region.
What do you think? I'll ask this as a general question for the room. What would be, if we had to break up the corridor, what's the most important segment? Is it north of McIntyre or south?
It's south.
South.
Yeah.
McIntyre, so.
McIntyre south, yeah. Interesting.
Would the,
Your crash history may not show that,
The crash history, yeah, well, we do have some on the south side, so.
but I mean, in the sense that if you took, I think. What we're saying or dance around the issue is if we straightened it out as it were and took away that north section, people are gonna take the south section. They'll skip the whole north and then take away some of those crash points.
So it comes 7, McIntyre 5, so, yeah.
Because McIntyre was designed at a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit. It was constructed in 2021. It was a gravel road. Connect to K7 to K5 to that point. And so with that further connectivity, and I think they've had to propose over 1,000 lots in an industrial area on K5. That future goes south, cities connected their sewer system to it.
We spent $5 million on sewer system getting it through 35 feet of solid rock.
Yeah, McIntyre?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, just with the potential growth, and then I know, they'll speak to it, they've had a change in administration with the Public Works Department, but there's a lot of growth potential in that northern, Wyandotte County area. Because the cost of development on the Kansas side is much less than Platte County because of the terrain and the availability of open space. So we are the only corner of Kansas City that has had that exponential growth. It still has some of that open space available at a much lower development cost than Platte County. Just to, connect into the interstates. And so a true viable connection to 435 to be good for commercial industrial traffic would be a game changer for both Lansing, Leavenworth and Acer. It's a huge, it's just complete lack of connectivity because I know the Centennial Bridge was announced at $156 million, but you're 17 or 20 minutes from the airport and it's only 2.5 miles away. And so you're gonna go all the way through Platte City. And that's not the route that anyone's gonna take for a commercial operation. They're gonna be somewhere south, somewhere closer to 435 and I-70. And we're just bottlenecked between downtown Leavenworth and stoplights and Lansing and K7. Clear through the entire community.
Good enough, thank you.
do we, if we participate as a county, cities, whoever, additional. Is there potential to upgrade the level of? I'm not sure what you call it, I'm not a highway guy, but upgrade from a B to a B plus or.
The answer is yes, yeah, so depending on depending on the funding, right? I mean, you might get a higher design speed, you might get, instead of 8-foot shoulder, you get 10-foot shoulders, things like that, so, yeah. Or you might get an interchange versus an intersection, if that's a priority for something. So, yeah.
so what we've heard to quickly summarize is really. Expanding on that connectivity or adding a point about economic development, truck access to that. Use purpose and use kind of, I think what we're hearing from you all.
Yeah, and I think that third bullet, that's what we try to do, support growth in the region. So it's there, but it may not be quite as clear.
Yeah, we'll see if we can clarify that.
But,
Okay.
like I said, this is a draft.
Right.
So,
As a, just as a comment, to do it right, we go back 30 years and run 435 through Delaware County. If they had that 5 cents, I did.
Well, I would use Topeka as a comparison, honestly, honestly, you're familiar with. Come down to Topeka all the time, but the expansion of 75 highway and I-70 and the turnpike all coming through town, the type of growth that they've experienced in South Topeka, just in that Topeka area, because the connectivity has not been seen here, and we're actually just minutes as the crow flies from the entire metro area. So I think there's a potential if we could ever get a project that tied us into that corridor, that you would see exponential growth in the area from a major investment infrastructure.
We don't need to go after you guys. We had Senator Marshall in front of us, a year ago. And one of the things that we were asking for was a north-south thoroughfare, that's federal money. He's interested in going out west from Wyandotte, that's great. That's all connected, and I said that we also need some north-south thoroughfares to open up the other side of our county. But we're looking at all angles.
I mean, for me, growth, where it supports future growth, how much land mass do you open up to connectivity and to connection greater? I mean, you can go short distance, go over 152 Eisenhower, but you have no land. You come south to McIntyre and you go through and you've got miles of open land that's available for future growth.
All right.
well, in the interest of time, if you want to go ahead and continue on, we got a few more slides.
Just a couple more, let me know kind of where we're at. Next steps, really, this is the first of several meetings we're going through to meet. We'll be meeting with the city of Leavenworth tonight, have some conversation. Leavenworth County tomorrow at their work session, we'll meeting with Wyandotte County, KCK on Thursday. Take a break for the holidays, then we'll get with Lansing right after that. To really just start to get some of these feedback that we're getting here today, because that's gonna help shape our next steps. Our goal is to start taking out, and meeting with some stakeholders, some large property owners in the area, and others, and have a public open house talking about, or a few different options for you to take a look at, or respond to that, come back again. We want to come back and see you all again, to kind of show what some of that, what we're hearing is that locally preferred, how we want to move forward, what is that vision for the school? So all of that kind of get wrapped up the first half of next year. So,
Maybe you don't know this yet, but what is the opinion of Wyandotte County as far as helping us with this?
We don't know at this point.
Okay. It's premature. I see you're talking to them. Yes. We've always said, well, how can we get their help to join us here?
I mean, their vision for K-5, if you look at their previous comprehensive plans, their transportation master plans, it's been somewhat of would be still a rural type roadway in nature. They'd love to see it upgraded. They're strapped for
But it's
money.
not a priority, yeah.
It's on the edge of theirs, so we could not to assume too much there, but I know they've got a lot of issues. They're putting a lot of attention as a city on the Kansas River bridges and getting those agreements. So that's probably their first one. Okay. Well. Nope, go ahead. So,
Was there a comment in the chat? Looked like there was. That's something else.
what's your?
Are you done now?
I'm done now.
Oh, okay.
Greg, I know you're kind of out there hiding. Do you have any comments? You've been kind of quiet.
No, I'm just listening. It sounds interesting. Obviously what they're saying makes sense. What KDOT says makes sense too. So Just have to go through the process and see where we end up.
All right, well, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again next spring, okay?
Or the public meeting.
I'll see you tomorrow.
And in a couple of weeks, with Lindsay back then, so yeah. Same presentation, so if you're not off, I want to.
I'm the chairman, so I have to do that.
For the rest of you get out here, we need to finish up. Danny, you have anything, City of Leavenworth?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Young ladies.
Just wanted to obviously share with this group, the Star Bonds project was announced for the former Leavenworth Mall site. Scott's there in person, so you can hit him up with all your specific questions. Obviously, this is still a project in development, but we are very excited about this possibility. That's really all I have for today.
We're also nominating Jeremy to be our next Port Authority representative on the 25th, so I guess he's here prematurely, but I expect he'll be being voted in name so soon.
I've got a question for you then, City of Leavenworth, that was kind of announced, I know behind the scenes. It's my understanding that ties into old Abel's Field too, right?
Yes, and possibly Rainbow Park.
And I keep hearing about. What is that, steamboat? Yeah, where is that?
I would say it's highly unlikely that Steamboat Arabia comes to.
Okay. I think first time I saw it, you were pitting since that came out officially, so I was curious.
There are people working in parallel to the city, but those conversations have not actually occurred with the city. We, as far as we know, there is no development.
It's fine, because the news keeps bringing it up.
They do, and then they keep forgetting to ask us about it. Surprise, surprise.
Chris, you're here. Chris.
I guess George is not on, but we will have two new city council members starting in January. And one idiot's going off because he will run. And then we have one that was not reelected, so we'll have two new locals. I know both of them for a long time, so hopefully they'll keep the faith and economic development.
Sure, you'll keep them in line.
The second piece is that we have our bids back on our sewer, came in about $1.3 million higher than we expected. The KDHE revolving loan approved, so we raised that limit, so they're moving forward with that, so that should take us to double, we'll continue to think we'll double capacity in sewer. I don't remember the exact calendar of that, but it's moving quickly. So we approved the contractor last night and we'll take off, we go.
And Josh, tag team.
Well, let me start off that we're gonna also have two new council members coming in January. One is replacing me as council member, but the city has asked me to stay on. And I told them that I would. Every vote counts. The other council member lost by 11 votes. So it does count. As far as the economic development, is Josh still up there?
Yeah, he just.
I'll let Josh take care of that.
Okay, so we're still working on a couple of projects. The community improvement district for the retail center in town center, north of Mary and Center, or the northwest corner of Mary and Center Drive. And we're working on some comp plan stuff. We're going to have that project go through next year, hopefully, making some selections for interviews this week. And the sewer line project along Center Drive should be wrapping up sometime the week of Thanksgiving. And I think that's about it. Questions?
Great. Anybody else have anything to add? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
One thing she has something. Bill.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The boss.
Bill, I'm
We
sorry.
can run through these really quick. I'll be really fast. It's literally their hour. So Governor Kelly announced the official announcement of the bridge, the 157 million, October 27th. So that project guaranteed to be in the construction pipeline. I thought today's conversation was good. I was a little disappointed in the fact that I think they were constrained by the $36 million announcement. I don't believe that's nearly enough to improve that corridor. I think what they'll eventually come to the communities and ask is that the communities take over maintenance of K5 and of McIntyre. I think that they'll at least want to have that conversation with various communities. And I don't know currently which portions run through which city, county. I think it would be best to prepare for those conversations. That would be the financial contribution they're looking for, I assume. Possibly, since we obviously don't have a 10% or 20% match, we're not probably going to fund something at a $10 million to or acquire all their necessary right of way for them. So you should be prepared at some point. They'll probably have that conversation with them. There's still the ongoing study of the K7 interchange in Batesford on 158. I believe they may be doing the parallel investigation into 166. I'm not sure. But that's a very viable option. I think it's very viable because it creates a new tolling location on I-70 prior to the existing first toll, so they can charge quicker and any man these stations any longer. So the continual cost of implementing a new exit is lower than it used to be in the past. I know the Topeka is working on one currently. And be interested to see how that phase one study turns out. If it does show that it's viable, I believe they want to do a secondary study. Another $150,000 or something on top of the current study, which I believe was about $65,000. The announcement of the Chiefs may affect that if they ever do announce the Chiefs coming to the UG, which was discussed by Todd Masterson a couple weeks ago. Will be some chance that's still occurring. KDOT projects going on in the county, most of the grant projects. The one that I would note that's new is the Leavenworth County Bridge projects for the Kansas Local Bridge Improvement Program. That's an 80-20 grant. They do have a start date of December 9th, so that will affect anybody in the southern part of the county who goes to DeSoto, areas west towards Tonganoxie and Glenwood, because that will close Golden Road for a considerable length of time, probably 6 months, maybe longer, because there are two bridges being replaced, and you cannot replace both of those bridges easily at the same time. They have to phase those two projects together. There will be some period of time where both bridges are closed, but there is a roadway between those two bridges that has very little connectivity. If we do cut off both directions of Golden Road. But those projects are getting ready to kick off. Those are much needed. Those are two of the bridges in the county that were actually rated poor and needing to go by the wayside. So the two Tonganoxie Road projects are done. They're completed. We're just the only remaining item is waiting for the grass to grow out there. Projects ongoing on Parallel and the 235th Street project. They received congressional direct spending and KDOT cost share funding in Hollingsworth and Dempsey. It started, and they are replacing the northern box culvert currently. We do have, I have not heard back from Senator Moran's office. We had a $6 million application for funding for congressional directed spending or earmark, that I'm not confident or sure about where it stands with the new passing of the federal budget. I tried to look. They've excluded some projects, they've included some others, but I have not received an email back. I worry about that. We did apply for that safety funding. FHWA with the shutdowns probably way behind. But we did apply for $23 million with the assistance of Kinley Horn as part of our Safe Streets for All study for substantial improvements. Those were all in the southern portion of the county. I did not receive an update yet. I'll be working on receiving some additional updates for the other projects that are ongoing. I staffed off of Greg's list, maybe Greg knows, or the city can speak to him. There are a few grant opportunities for the communities who are here today that may be of interest. There is a high-risk urban roads program. It closes in about a week. Spoke to KDOT this week. I don't know if it's a great project for the county. We may apply for it. It sounded like they are having a hard time getting applicants for these projects. It's an Excel spreadsheet, you just fill it out. The issue is it is new stop signs and warning, paint, those thermal painting patches that you put down for your stop bars, advanced warning, but it does not include any flashing stop signs. I thought it'd been much better off spending their money on a little silver array and having some flashing stop signs than paying some lines on the ground that we were going to cover in chip and seal. And so it would maybe increase the size of the stop signs and ensure that there's more advanced warnings for the stop signs. But I think the county had 6 locations that were viable options, but I'm not sure about eligibility for cities. But I know along the boundaries of the cities, there would be an opportunity to get funding through that program. Closes in the high risk rural roads programs open. We have a couple locations from a county that could, with both the city of Batesville and then just down on Golden Creek. There's a flat program, but I don't think anybody but the county and the city of North are hopeful for that program. But it's only $750,000 statewide. It's for federal lands access. And quite frankly, $750,000 doesn't buy you much good nowadays. So when you look at a statewide program, $750,000, even if you got all of the state's funding, you couldn't pave a mile of road. So I don't know what the state's going to do with $750,000 for a statewide program. I think they would be best suited to spend it on a gravel road somewhere around a Corps of Engineers lake. That they wouldn't really give it to anybody else. So that amount of funding doesn't really. If it was 7.5 million, I'd apply to pave the road on the backside of the ford up to that wildlife hunting area. But I'm sure the city would have other projects as well that used to access federal lands, but $750,000 kind of meaningless amount. If you'd have to match that for the next year, several million to get a viable project.
Just one thing too, change gears on since we're in there. Baser's having their ribbon cutting today for their grocery store. That they finally got open, and that's at 5 o'clock, but they're gonna be down there starting at 4 o'clock. I'll be there just to graduate and get the grocery store down there. So just want to pass that off.
Now, try this again. Anything from anybody else? I apologize. I would.
No, I'm not.
Please go to the website.
Adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Do give some thoughts, everybody, about the Christmas for December 18th. We have another meeting. Think they know? Okay.
16.
16th, I'm sorry. 16th, let me know. We have it in the past. Pass it.
Yeah, okay, good. The food all beacon all the belt. No bad. At least that's all I think.
You thinking about letting them that
way
go,
around
is that what you're saying?
Elizabeth.
In the past, they have. We get the
You got my vote on that.
Act like they're gonna stay.
Yeah, something really something come up.
Unless the gas,
I thought the whole.
there's nothing. People will be doing all kinds of things anyway.
That's what I thought it was when we got it
That's
approved.
much us.
And then as a secondary benefit of that would be.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll
By
get the vote.
fixing that connectivity. I asked them all.
Well, I had a majority of